Everything else, from product to go-to-market, we believe that we can solve post-investment together with the founders, and we know that there's going to be consistent change happening from that strategy perspective. So we really focus on these 2 points when we make an investment.
And when we talk about numbers and returns, what can you? I feel like we're just starting to see the first role models and successful companies coming out of the Nordics scaling globally. So what are we seeing, if you're giving us a ballpark estimate in terms of why it's good business to be in? Can you speak at all about that? Anybody?
I think we can use a mutual example, no?
You go ahead.
No, you started investing in it.
We have done a couple of investments together, so I'm not sure which one you mean.
We have only 5 investments together.
Only 5.
Well, first on the how, to your question, we are sector agnostic, so we can do seed, small tickets, 1 million euro. We can do Series C, Series D, and enter late, much bigger tickets. But the engine of the how for us, we figured out, or I'm not sure we're right, but the way we see it is that we try to view the strategy and the sourcing and the investing as one muscle. Mm-hmm. So our strategy has 4 overarching themes where we invest in, and they have then 16 underlying segments where we think will be the highest value created over the next 10 years in terms of for the planet, for the health, and for us as investors, of course. And so that is where we start. And then the engine means that we meet a lot of company to get to how we do it, and that's also how you learn. We love to meet with the founders, and we meet 600-700 companies per year. With that, you learn. And that's a very big part of the how. Then obviously we have a more quantitative assessment recipe that's added to that. And then in the end, you have to find a balance in the portfolio so it makes sense from your own micro-financial perspective. That's really in short the how. In terms of returns right now, for us as investors, it's a really good situation because there's a lot of volume in terms of ideas, good founders, new technology, in a market that's changing fast. So existing players with high market shares are having trouble defending them, which means there's space for new ideas to enter and to price right and to earn money, which is good for the investors. Up until 6-7 months ago, it was a bit expensive to invest in this category, but that is changing, which is also contributing to the potential to.
What's bringing down the price, that it's cheaper now?
Well, I mean, the market, so the public market has gone down 30-40%, a little bit depending on what country and what sector you're looking at. That, of course, means that the sort of higher risk capital takes a step back, and if you're doing early stage, high growth company investments like us, that's high risk. Mm-hmm. So that leaves fewer investors that are interested right now, which means that valuations go down, and then those of us who decided to only do this kind of investment, maybe that's an opportunity for us.
Mm. We act a little bit different, but again complementary, which leads to great collaboration with the Guldspann WeFood people. And a couple of the things that we do coming from the food industry, we take the business plan and assumptions of startups and we reverse engineer it. And we try to think what we would have done if we were the entrepreneurs. So actually tackling or challenging the models of the startups that gets to this stage, because it's at the end of the day you see a lot and eventually you choose few. And then we try to see if this is valid. And then we have internal discussion, what can we add to the table? Mm. If we don't think that we can help the company, we will never invest. So for PickBridge, we try to be the most value-adding fund in the space because of our, let's say, experience in networks. And if we can't help them, then it's not for us. And then the last one is we are SFDR Article 9, so we put our money where our mouth is, and we have to be very clear that they have the right applying to the 5 SDGs that we chose, because at the end of the day we have to, we want to show that that we deliver. part of our carry is connected to delivering those KPIs, so it's a lot of money. I have two maybe suggestions or tips to the founders here. For me, there are two, after all this due diligence and evaluation, and I have two things that I'm looking at. One is, for me, an entrepreneur, it's agree to everything said here, that it's all about the entrepreneurs. But if, for me, an entrepreneur has to know how to pitch and raise money. I know that's a bit strange, but for me, an entrepreneur has to know how to raise money. And my second point is that I would never invest in anything without having a great meal with a person. So if we are into investing in someone, then it will come with breakfast, lunch, dinner, you choose, but you learn a lot by having a meal with someone.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Please adopt.
I judge first dates by the same standard. What do we eat and drink? A lot of data in that. I want to talk a little bit about where your capital is flowing and where you see the biggest problems in terms of where we need to put more money to solve the issues we're talking about when we think of the food system. So where do you think we need to deploy more capital to really make a difference?
Start. I think one really big one, especially for the food industry, is the scale-up phase, and I think we need more and more infrastructure actually to come, whether it's bioreactors or any kind of B2B solutions that can help with scale-up, because you have a lot of companies now that have great solutions but work at micro scale, and I think if we want to reach mass adoption with these solutions, we need to achieve price parity, and obviously, taste-wise, we also need to make some progress, but I think that's probably the biggest area that we're excited about at the moment, or also believe needs to get further backing in order to achieve these ultimate goals that we have.
Great.
I think that the greatest revolution in the food business is the alternative protein, or alternative meat, alternative fish, alternative whatever that is happening there. And maybe it's the one thing that will save our planet. And we do not invest in it. So deliberately, which I'm trying to be provocative a little bit. So.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah.
So we have a smarter people that know how to choose it and how to support it. We think that it needs different skills of marketing, of retail, of brands, which we don't have, or at least we chose not to do. But we think that the most important thing to be involved with is to support those companies in providing a simpler, healthier, and tastier product.
Yeah.
The next revolution is the deliciousness revolution. Mm-hmm. People bought Beyond Meat once, twice, 3 times, and look at the price share. So Beyond Meat has to become delicious. If not, nobody will buy it. And we see ourselves in supporting companies and technologies that will help those brands, which you guys are beautifully investing in. Chapeau bas, by helping them to have less ingredients in their on their stickers, and becoming healthier, simpler, and most importantly, delicious.
Mm-hmm. Taste is so important, and I've also heard that from many startups that they want more competition, they want more products in their category in the market, so people think it's a normal thing and a big thing to buy. But the worst thing that can happen is having a competitor that tastes bad. Because if someone has their first experience and it's just gross or it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, why would you buy another brand, or why would you buy again? So it's a responsibility of everybody to make sure you're creating something that is at least delicious to keep the conversation going and not turn people off before you really get the chance.
We spent a few days this week in Sweden, and for the first time I tasted. Yeah, I can't pronounce it, sorry. And those guys invested in Planted, and I was shocked. Like, it is so good, and 5 ingredients, that's a dream come true. This is the true revolution. This is where we should be.
Yeah, simple and delicious.
Well, we are, of course, obviously quite heavily invested in the alternative protein space with Planted and Mission Barns and Oatly and Stockel, etc. But I would like to your question, promote, and if there are any good ideas, let us know, specifically in regenerative farming and sustainable supply chains, or sustainable materials for packaging. That is where we see that we will focus more energy and capital in going forward. It will be a very interesting shift in that space of this industry in the coming years.
Great. Anna?
I will just echo what everyone else has said, but for us it's all about finding products that are healthy and sustainable. That makes it easier for consumer to make better choices, and then it's price, texture, taste, as you said. It's the shift to more efficient agriculture, and then it's specifically the regenerative part. That's very interesting. And then it's all about supply chains that are more efficient, reducing the amount of waste, and better packaging. So it's kind of three easy themes, I think, that we're all agree to.
I'll add in biodiversity. I see that as a huge trend that comes into of how do we really make sure what we're eating and putting in, whether it's diversity of proteins or anything else, is supporting a resilient climate that can withstand the challenges ahead of us.
Yeah. We have an investment together in Agrina, which is doing exactly that, supporting the shift towards regenerative farming, and that is both capturing carbon in the soil, but also biodiversity, water quality, etc. So very excited about that one.
Yeah.
Great. All right, I'm going to give you guys a round of applause. Say thank you. So we're going to keep the conversation going, and I'll have the investors stay towards the front row if they'd like to potentially ask the startups that are coming up to pitch some questions. But before we do that, are there any other investors who want to introduce themselves and say that they're here today, just who you are, the name of your fund, and maybe what your thesis is? Very quick. Anybody in the room? I see Marika. Let's put this mic on for you. All right, I think it's on. We'll see.
Hi, I was here yesterday, so maybe you already met me. Marika King from Pink, Powlig Corporate Venture Capital Arm, invest in early stage future food. So please shout out. Here's our colleague Louise as well.
Great. I see another investor here.
I'll continue. Lauri, hi, Nordic Food Tech VC. We invest in the geeky and techy food tech companies in Nordics and Baltics. Reach out.
Anybody else? I have a mic. I can walk up. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary-Lise. I was speaking here yesterday on an investment panel. I'm with Sustainable Food Ventures. We invest in future food companies in plant-based, cell-based, and recombinant technologies.
And this is global, all three of you, right? Or are you defined to a region?
I think Laura is just the Nordics, but we're global, and Powlig is Europe.
Europe. Okay. Anyone else before we keep going? Yes. Here you go.
Hi everyone, I'm Erica. I'm from Food Hack, and we syndicate angel deals. So we co-invest alongside these great VCs and help operators, founders, and other angel investors in the food tech ecosystem to also be able to invest in these excellent startups.
Thank you. All right, so we got quite a few different kinds of investors in the room. And we're going to go ahead and get going with the startups. First up, though, we're going to have Deloitte on stage to just talk a little bit about an accelerator they have coming up. Is Deloitte in the room? Come on up stage. Let's give you a round of applause. Yay! Here you go.
Thank you, everyone. I'm Federico from Deloitte's Food Tech Accelerator based in Milan. Basically what we do is not like a typical accelerator because we pursue and believe in the power of open innovation. So what we do is matchmaking between corporates and startups to like develop a joint industrial project between them. So for the startups is a good business opportunity. We don't